going?
Yes.
Okay. Now it's the presidential debate with Toyota Yoder of the Libcons, Avik, a libertarian from Markarth. Strange name, but whatever. And you know, current president McHale of Reform.
Hell yeah.
Now, for the first question, asked by Loga, what makes each candidate distinct? What makes you different from the others on this stage with you?
We should start.
Uh, Mr. Current President, you start first.
Well, what makes me different, I guess, first and most obviously, is I'm actually the president. I've been serving in this position for the last 4 weeks. I understand very well how the executive gears turn, as it were. I've been to a few Senate meetings. I've done my fair few appointments. I've talked with the Supreme Court. I've been to all these court things. I've run basically like support on prosecutions and just I've been around. I've been doing a lot of fucking. Can we get these guys out of here?
Shut up.
Look, I've worked with people from across the aisle. I've worked with everyone. I've dealt with a lot of crap, and I think that I am the best qualified because of my resilience to all of this bull crap that's happened to me in these past 4 weeks to continue serving for the next 8 weeks.
Interesting. All right, now, Avik, what makes you different?
So what makes me different from the other candidates here that you see? I am not a fascist communist like these other two here. That's it.
Wonderful. Now, Toyota, what makes you different?
I would like to start off by saying it's an honor to be here among so many great patriots, so many great foreigners. If I had to give you one attribute, I suppose, that separates me from my colleagues here, my peers of sorts, it would be my steady hand. Thank you.
Great. And now, I will we'll move on to the next question. So, uh, what are your plans and ideas surrounding the military? Mikhail, you go first.
All right. So, as many of you know, I have been doing a lot of military reorganization. Unfortunately, the MOD, whom I picked out originally, the Venerable Niemand, has decided to go AWOL. And so in the interim, I took it upon myself to completely upend the military order by bringing the military in line with the standards of the 20th century. This included dividing it into the branches, creating, designations, appointing new leadership, setting aside, figuring out how to pay out veterans from the Cossack Wars, which is still ongoing, like the payment scheme. We still need people, still haven't really come to claim their stuff. But anyway, we've organized this, and we're doing great work. If you've been to Providence or to or even walked through Providence, you've probably seen the giant blimp that's being built in the mountains of Liberty City. It is quite a thing to behold. I don't know if it's currently working, but it's sort of, I see that as a symbol of the kind of progress that I and the military have made. I recently finally got around to appointing a new MOD, a guy called Worldwide, and I think he's gonna do great work. I think the guys we've appointed as generals, the Apple and Sparrow Future, the Major General of the Air Corps, are doing fantastic work with the military, and I think that generally speaking, we're gonna keep that train moving. Is the current plan.
Great. Just very slight correction about your towards the end. You didn't appoint the MOD.
Okay, yeah,
but
sorry,
it is a-
I
it is
nominated
suggestion.
them. I
Yeah,
nominated
nomination,
them.
and that's yeah.
I
It seems like a good nomination, but that's
There's no
aside from
reason
the
to
point.
reject it.
Avik, what are your thoughts and ideas surrounding the military?
Well, the military, we have one of the best militaries ever. Best military you ever see. Best military ever see. We're so safe. We don't need to do anything more with it. Actually, we need to pay more money to it, actually. So, give more money to military. That's all. Best military ever.
All right then, quick to the point. Now, Toyota. How about you? What are your thoughts and ideas around the military?
The military is it's at a very precarious position at the moment. I believe current president Mikhail has done good work in his closing years of his first term to set it in a position to succeed after a long streak of failures and under underperformance. As president, I would ensure, you know, appropriate, plentiful funding even to all of the armed branches, specifically the army, specifically a force to keep peace internally inside the nation. I would like to, how plentiful, you might ask? Quite, very plentiful. What about our economy? I'll get to that. Anyways, I would like to explore plans to create government-owned gunpowder farms for the creation of fireworks for defense, as well as other ideas I have in store. I would act swiftly and effectively as chief of I forget the. It's been a while since I
Chief.
commander in chief. Thank you.
Commander-in-Chief, yeah.
I apologize. It's been a long night. That finishes my sentences.
I have a question for Mr. Yoder.
Yes, sir.
Related to the your party platform. I noticed you slipped in something there about protection, like within the nation. I understand that your party has a platform for a civilian police force. Do you have any ideas related to that?
Frankly, regarding the civilian police force idea, I believe that would be something to consider down the road. Perhaps I think the army should take priority. But if I were to speak on that, I do think it's something to keep in mind, but not something to perhaps something not to allocate funding to at the moment in our
Yeah.
current state.
All right, I just wanted to, because it just sort of strange to me that that was in the party platform that was published, and yet it was voted down by the libcons in the Senate. So I just wanted some explanation on that, is all.
Of course. I am not in the Senate. I don't have too much of a hand
Right.
over the proceedings of the liberal conservative senators, but I understand the confusion.
Yeah.
Great. Any other comments and questions? Doesn't seem so, so I'll move on. So, Mikhail, what do you feel are the threats right now to Faru?
Threats to Faru.
Specifically, the what is the biggest threat to Faru at this moment?
I feel like this is a loaded question. Because I know exactly what the two people on the side of me are going to say. And I will say that the communist threat is quite frightening. Mostly because, as you can see by the patch on my on my right eye that I have indeed been afflicted by the phantom of communism in the form of the rebel General V, and I can assure you that any subversive communist elements that are discovered within any government position will be swiftly eradicated. But in my view, the bigger and more pressing matter as well is to ensure that the terrorists who tried to blow up my fucking house and tried to blow up the homeless shelter in Providence and tried to steal a plane from the Army Air Corps base need to be absolutely annihilated and destroyed. So my two biggest threats, in summary, are terrorists and V. Von Aknevo. Specifically.
All right then. Now, Avik, what do you see as the biggest threat to Faru at the moment?
The biggest threat right now is actually the Libcom party. They are extremely oppressive and they do not like the democracy that we actually want.
Fascinating.
I'm not sure that's true, but whatever. Let's move on. Toyota, what do you see as the biggest threat to Faru at this moment?
In my view, although I do think the communist threat and general terrorism that has been going on in Faru is very concerning. I don't think it constitutes the greatest threat that we face. I think um, violence of this sort is typical, is to be expected of a fledgling democracy such as our own. I believe strongly will weather everything of the sort. What does concern me, however, the main thing I would consider to be the threat to our nation would be economic stagnation. It would be to fall behind in an ever-changing, modernizing era. Um, and my thought on how to combat that is taxation, at least in some variety, to give resources to the government, and following that, greater investment into all sectors of business, especially the sectors of production and what and such. Excuse me. What I was referring to, not particularly the types of business, but just the scale of them. All types of industry, the small shopkeep and the conglomerates, I think they all play a very crucial part, and they all deserve the support of the government to get started, to start producing, to move Faru towards modernization and towards economic prosperity.
Great. Now, and considering you brought up the economy, now we can start asking some economic questions. Okay, such as, what will you do to balance the budget?
This is a big matter for me, as you've seen probably from the things I've said in executive chat and within my platform, even before it was turned into the Reform Party. Fiscal responsibility is something that matters a lot to me and to the people I represent in my party. Frankly, I think that the current spending habits of the Treasury have been a little bit alarming. Just sort of printing out money and giving it to people just willy-nilly without any sort of costing, without any sort of revenue source. And look, it's something that we don't like, but we do have to all pay our share in taxes. And on top of that, as well as in order to help balance the budget, in order to help stem inflation and try to restore faith in the lira as it currently exists as a short-term measure, I would suggest putting a freeze on the printing of new lira in order to keep inflation down and in order to allow the government to get its finances in order. before we can talk about, expanding the lira, trying to spread it around. And of course, you might be wondering, what are we going to do in the interim? Well, we have diamonds. We shouldn't demonize the spending and use of diamonds. People love diamonds, and people, frankly, don't quite like the lira. But I'm going to save that rant for another section. I'm just going to close it by saying that we need to freeze the money. We need to stop printing money, and we need to actually figure out where we're going to get our money from before we spend it.
All right then. Now, Avik, what would you do to balance the budget?
I would stop paying the government. They
What?
don't need salaries anymore. They need to
Dude.
reduce. The government doesn't.
I don't
need
believe
anything at
we
all
have
for
ever
their
had
Yeah,
people.
we
salaries.
don't get salaries, dude.
It's for the love of the game.
Yeah, we just do this because we love the people and we love serving.
Guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, like
This guy wants the government to collapse.
Get him out
I
of here!
think-
Get him out of
I
here!
I think that we should give senators a small stipend, honestly. But that's just me. I'm perfectly fine
Stop
not
fighting!
being paid.
Stop fighting!
Holy shit,
Stop
guys!
fighting!
Stop fighting!
Stop
Jesus
Someone
fighting!
Christ.
did tell me that the government
What?
was being paid
What is
though.
going on?
Well, I think what they were referring to was
Get 'em outta
there's
here.
clerks who work
No.
for us to help us
Senate-
out, but
okay.
they volunteer their
Sit
time
down.
to help
Sit
us, and I
down.
think we should reward them for that. And there's also military payroll, which you said that they should be paid more, so you can't really say that the government shouldn't be paid
Sit
at this
down.
rate.
Flip
Just
flop
'cause-
Avik.
Only the military. The military is the best part of this government.
Mhm. Yeah, okay.
So it's up
He
there.
never even served.
Never served.
Stolen valor.
Is that your time?
Stolen
over?
valor.
Yep,
Are
that's
you
all.
done speaking? All right. Now, Toyota. How would you balance the budget?
To be quite honest with you, I don't have a plan of my own per se to keep the budget balanced. I would probably leave that to the Ministry of. That's odd.
Guys, can we
Get
like
out from
can you
under
like
the
get a
table.
room? Dude, we're in a
Um,
hotel, dude. Get a room. Jesus.
Kick Ender out. Kick him out. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, I don't believe that the lira is a thing to be shunned. I think it's a very a promising tool, perhaps not fully actualized yet. I do understand President McHale's concerns for overinflation, and I don't think the stopping the printing and circulation for a short time is an awful idea. But at the same time, I would strongly advise the current government and any government that follows to just consider the value of having a government-regulated, modernized piece of spending power. It's I think it's a great piece of technology. It's could be a tool to push far into the future, and although it's not in a great state currently, I think a diamondback lira would be something to look into, especially mining expeditions paid for by the government to put some lira in their own in the pockets of the workers. That is all.
All right then. And now, and now on to our next question. And coming off of how you mentioned the taxes, how would you go about implementing taxes?
Well,
Issuing taxes.
so
Sorry, that's issuing
I-
taxes was the question.
when I first heard about the poll tax, me and many other people who are familiar more with a certain history of certain places in this world than with more specific terms were quite horrified But in retrospect, I think the poll tax, which is basically just another term for it's not even a flat tax per se. It's just sort of a quota, collecting 3 or 4 or even up to maybe like 5 diamonds from each person every month is a very reasonable. It's not even that much money. I mean, let's be real. You can go up to Syrinx and you can mine, however many diamonds you want. Maybe you could mine 5 times as much as that quota in 5 minutes. Or not 5 minutes, but like 30 minutes. It's not a difficult thing to pay for. But I think that the bigger question isn't how we are taxed. The bigger question is how we tell the public what is being used for. Because something I've noticed, something I've seen in my travels throughout the nation is that people, maybe they aren't broke. They don't have, it's not that they don't have the means to pay taxes, but they don't see a reason because the government doesn't help them in their view. They don't see why. So I think that the government generally needs to do a better job communicating what the money is being used for and where the money is going and how it's helping them, because this money is helping them. But it has to be published. I mean, this money is going into, roads. This money is going into the Reserve Bank, which can then loan business loans to people. And that's another thing that we're going to talk about later, I think.
Here.
But generally, just in general, I think the taxation system is fine. I think that we could maybe find another revenue source, like say, a casino tax, perhaps a one-time fee, and then maybe create an exception so that they can, contribute to society in other ways, is something that I've been mulling over. But generally, I think the taxation system is perfectly fine. But we need to sell it better to people.
Makes sense. And now, Avik. Victor?
There's a fight club
That's the
outside.
character name.
I'm trying to pay attention to what's happening outside over there.
Dude, they're just fighting out here. What the hell?
What the fuck?
Yeah, they're
Dude.
just fighting out here.
Let's.
Oh my god.
It's fine.
Get back,
I think
stop
we're gonna
I
hitting
have
assume they
fight.
have it.
Look,
Yeah,
they
but
can
hey,
figure that
wait a
they
minute.
can figure that out.
Jesus. You guys are stupid as hell.
Okay, so
Yeah.
He's attacking innocent
He's attacking us.
people.
Damn,
He's a
stop trying to
crazy
ruin the
man.
debate. It's not about you, it's about them, not about you.
What's
Let's
going on?
close
He's
these
destroying
doors and get to the
flowers.
let's
You
Kick
tried
him
to
out.
kill
Get him
me.
out of here. Get him out of here. Quick,
Started it.
get
What the
him
fuck
out of
is
here.
going on, dude?
Can we just continue
You
the
started
debate?
it.
Can you guys go hit each other somewhere else?
let's get everyone back on the stage.
Fine.
Donnie, if you don't fight, I'll buy you chicken nuggets.
All
when you get
right.
home.
So,
For real?
Avik,
Wait, me
Done
too.
deal.
how would you go about issuing taxes?
Do I get that too?
No.
So, taxes will be handled by the Minister of Finance. This is not a president thing, so I'm gonna push that to the minister.
But would you
To
think
deal-
of taxes,
to deal
Mr.
with.
Avik?
That's not the question is, so I only answered what the question was.
Also, there is no Minister of Finance. It is the Minister of the Treasury.
Yeah, or the
Also, I think Minister of Interior handles taxes. But
Minister of
yeah,
Interior
that's
collects
According to
taxes, but
According to the
yeah.
technical, yes, that's what
Yeah.
happens.
and see, that's why I was saying like I don't think it needs to be radically overhauled, and that's not in my purview. But as the president, I think we also could have a role in promoting the government, because the presidency is overall is the human face of the government. It's our job to make sure that people see that we are working for them. We're not working for any sort of elite cabal of business owners or politicians or anything. It's we're working for you. We're working for the people. This is a debate, Loga. This is how it works. I'm not even
Okay.
disagreeing with it.
So, Avik, were you finished?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think we can now move on to Yoder. Now, Toyota, how would you go about issuing taxes?
And by issuing taxes, you mean deciding how much is owed by the by the settlement or by the person, correct?
I'm not exactly sure what the
I
person
think it's a more
asking the
general
meant,
question.
but go ahead. Right,
Just a general question. All right.
general question.
Yes.
Taxes.
Taxes. I understand the taxes are not the most popular uh, topic among foreigners, but they are a necessity. Uh, I think it would be interesting to pursue some ideas I've heard bounced around among politicians, such as aiding larger towns with taxes to perhaps incentivize the growth of urban areas. I think that could be something interesting to explore. But for the topic of taxes, I must agree with Avik. It's not my topic of expertise. I'd likely just have to hand that off to a minister, Ministry of the Treasury.
All right then. And now on to the next question.
This isn't much of a debate, is it? This is more like a Q&A session. Right? We'll see,
Works.
though. There's not a terrible amount of disagreements.
And this next point could create some debate.
Yes.
What's your plan on vitalizing the economy and spreading around the lira?
Oh. Yeah, so this is the thing that I've been thinking about a lot. I've been doing a lot of research on how these other nations in the world have been doing it. I've been talking to Moore, who is of course a visitor from Sudica. Now, give it up, dude. Look, we are a fledgling democracy. We need to learn from the states and countries that have come before us in creating a better nation. We need to take massive steps in order to bring our nation into line with the 20th century. So, the first item that I was thinking about is a program that I like to call Every Man a King. And it's that every man or woman or them or anyone who wants it could receive a stack of potatoes and a horse to start out. Maybe like a bed, we can find some other thing, but the whole point is to get people up on their feet so they can get started on building up their wealth and creating companies. And on the topic of companies is my second idea, which is to have an economic summit between corporate leaders and the government in order to reach an understanding about how we can help businesses, what labor rates are fair and balanced, what we could maybe provide to workers, how we can prevent sort of runaway inflation of wages, stuff like that. It's not like all set in stone, but this is the things that I've seen work across other nations, and I think that it might be a good idea to bring them here to create an economy of consensus, to put everyone on the same page.
All right then. And now, Avik, how would you go about vitalizing the economy and spreading around the lira?
I actually plan on completely removing lira from the economy, give people back their diamonds back. No one likes lira here at all. We also create more jobs for the people to get paid the money that we already have.
If I could add something, I was floating the idea of perhaps having a referendum on the lira, because I don't believe that a unilateral government action is advisable. I think that the cases should be made, and it should be put up to the people. Is the lira, but that's in my view.
Anything else you wish to say, Avik?
That is all.
Alright then. Now, Toyota, how would you go about vitalizing the economy and spreading the lira around?
Alright, I would like to start this off with one thing, and that is that the lira is not going anywhere. It is the government's job to not kneel to the slightest bit of populism. We need the lira. The lira is good, and through the lira, we will achieve a developed, modernized economy. Now, how will I distribute this? That is something that I have not yet figured out exactly, per se, but one thing I do have is the backing of the lira. Backing of the lira through diamonds, backing of the lira through mining programs to get diamonds, obviously, and yeah, through that, hopefully, likely strengthen the lira and strengthen the nation.
I take offense to saying that you shouldn't bend to the slightest bit of populism. All things considered, this is a popularly elected position. I think
Well,
that
that's
doing
true.
what the people say is very important.
It is good to listen to the people, but it would be wrong to say the people are always right. The people,
course.
that's all. But I understand.
There's a reason the people elect us to do these things, but I also think that when it comes to the matter of currency, it's kind of hard to ignore the habits and practices of people who are actually living in Faru day to day, who are actually interacting in the economy. I think that we need, even if we don't say have a referendum, but maybe as part of, say, an economic summit, we'll save questions for the end. As part of this summit, figure out, how are people paying for things? Maybe because, the lira, it's unpopular, but it serves a purpose. I mean, you're not going to pay 1 diamond for a piece of leather, right? I mean, there has to be some decimalization, some fractionalization, some basically being able to pay for less than a diamond's worth of stuff. And other commodities, iron doesn't cut it. Iron is infinitely reproducible. We produce iron by the boatload every day in Providence. You can't do that. There has to be some controls.
I did get 2 stacks of iron this morning, actually, without doing any labor.
Exactly.
So, and I would like to restate my point. My point was not that the lira should be the end all be all. I think it would be nice if it was, but I don't expect that. I just think the notion of discarding it is that's something I'm very strongly against.
Yeah. Well, I also I just believe that treating it as this sacrosanct thing is also not. I think there has to be a middle ground in most of these sorts of issues. I mean, stability of the economy is paramount, but also you kind of have to, you have to see the writing on the wall when something is unpopular, that something needs to be done.
I suppose a replacement to the lira would also be good, but
It could be.
I just don't think a reversion to diamonds. That's the main thing I wish to avoid.
We could also devalue the lira. That's another option, but that would be unpopular with current lira holders. You'd have to figure out how to sort of compensate for that.
Partial refunds, perhaps. Yeah.
Avik, I wonder what do you think about all this? Because do you think that there's a way maybe we could save the lira, or what do you think we should replace it with? Like, in terms of buying things for less than diamonds.
Maybe making the value of lira less. Like, instead of it being worth 1/4 of a diamond, maybe 1/10 would be like a lot better.
So, I mean, maybe that's sort of what we were saying with devaluing. I mean, maybe not 1/10, because just the way that stacks work in this game, it doesn't really work in 10s.
Like an 1/8 maybe then.
Maybe an 1/8 would work, perhaps.
Yes.
Yes, you would lose. You wouldn't lose. Look, if we were to actually devalue the currency, right? there would be a way, there would be a counteraction. There would be a way to prevent people, capital holders, from losing their money. You could get back your diamonds. Maybe. You know, once we get them. But what the fuck is going on?
There's a baby chicken. No, don't kill it.
Rest in peace.
Sit down.
Get out of
You
here.
just carry around diamonds.
Get
If
outta
you can't
here.
carry enough lira,
Take
just
off your
carry
armor.
diamonds.
Take off your armor.
Dude.
Put away your weapons. Thank you. Okay.
I mean,
I'd
do you
like
even
to,
own lira?
Yeah, I got 8 on me.
Before to that, I'd like to make the candidates aware we have 10 minutes left of this debate. Okay.
Okay, what else? How many questions we got?
There could be 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
So, should we go for a particularly targeted question for one of the candidates,
I think we should.
or
do
should
that.
we ask an additional question that appears to be from a socialist?
Hmm?
Yes.
There's a question for Avik, and then there's one from, it seems like a socialist. Which one would you
Interesting.
like to tackle?
Yeah. There's also the one, this interesting one from a fellow Loga about a bill being thrown out that's very interesting, but I think we could save that for the next one. I'd like to hear what the targeted one is.
Alright, so, Avik,
Yes.
a citizen of this nation has asked, how will being a cult leader affect your policy?
Cult leader, eh?
It's strong words, you know, a religious leader, I assume. What's that all about?
What's it all about, Mr. Priest?
Well, I
Don't
am
throw-
not a
throw eggs.
cult leader. I just am the head religious leader of the Avikism religion. This does not
Interesting
change
name.
You
anything
named
at
it
all.
after yourself?
I didn't name it. I'm not the one that created it.
That's
But yeah, it will not all change how my policies will be.
Do you have an idea why they named it after you?
I have
Because
no
we love
idea
it
why.
big.
Alright then.
What is this beliefs of this Avikism? Anyway.
Fair treatment of all.
Isn't that something we all want? Anything particular of note?
Nothing particular.
Is there a god in this religion?
There is a god.
Hmm.
Their name is Avik. And they are
I
not
see.
me. They are not me. I am not Avik. I am Victor.
Okay.
Sorry, I
This
had
Just
forgotten
to be
your name.
clear, I'm not like the
You're
god.
not. You're okay. Okay. Yeah.
So when your supporters say we love Avik, they're not talking about you, they're talking about this deity who's definitely not you. Is that right?
Yes, they're not talking about me. They're talking about the Avik god.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they do that, Mr. Moan. That's Senator. That's
Well,
quite interesting.
Never mind. I was gonna say something that was out of character. Never mind.
But yeah, I'm sorry for not using your name, Victor, so far.
Yeah, it is written as Avik on the platform. Just for the record.
But yeah, and now that we have about 5 minutes left, one
All right.
final question. Unless we want to move on to audience.
Socialist question.
Let's get. I want to hear some audience questions. I think we should
Wanna
have some
move
time
on to
for that.
audience questions.
Yeah,
I have a question.
I don't.
Senator.
Mr. Victor, why do you hate honest Cubists who make up the majority of this nation? And why
Who
do you
says-
think you're God?
Who says I hate them? I'm not God. I never said I was God.
But why do your followers say you're God?
They don't. They say Avik is a god. I'm Victor, not Avik.
They say you're a priest who represents Avik on Earth.
Well, the Pope represents God.
What's the Pope?
What's the Pope?
Yeah.
We don't have a pope. What's a
See-
pope?
see
There are
that now.
Catholics.
Everyone's
Don't have a
a
pope.
Do we have a pope?
Folks,
I mean, there is a
think
Catholicism.
This Avik.
I think
A pope
I
might
think
be
you're talking
coming
about.
soon.
With
I
You
think
might
you're
have
talking about the
predicted a
Pap. I think you're talking about the Pap. You mean the
Yeah,
Pap?
the
The Pap
Pap, I
of
mean, the Pap.
Catholicism?
Yeah.
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 That dude's a weirdo. I don't know. I never liked
Never
those
met him.
Catholics. Those Catholics are a little strange.
They eat their god.
They
Yeah,
eat their
exactly.
god. They drink their god too,
They
don't
drink their
they?
God's blood.
Yep,
Yeah,
they
it's
do.
kind of
It's
it's
Quite
a
weird,
little
Yeah.
I don't
a
think
little
we should support that
grotesque
here.
in my view.
that is odd. Does what do you do in your religion?
What do we do?
I have a question.
Do you have any kind of rituals that you and your community hold to, or anything like that?
On Thursdays, we usually go around to people who are not of our religion, and we just help them whenever we can.
Is this for a particular reason, or just because you can?
To spread love and everything around.
Sounds nice.
Yes.
I have a question.
Sounds pretty unassuming.
Yeah, Mr.
Uh,
Novak.
How will each of you ensure that the working class gets its fair wage and benefits?
Well, as you know, I said that every man a king. In our meetings with corporations, I'm sure we can extract some settlement from them about working class people. I mean, that is the point. Hopefully, we can get some labor representatives at the economic summit. That's how they do it in other countries. That's my view. What about you guys?
What about you, Gant? What about you guys?
I'll go. I believe very strongly in a fully class collaborationist society, a fully corporatist society, and that includes fighting for the rights of the people at the very bottom just as well as the people at the very top. I will absolutely deploy the armed forces to kill corporate leaders if they're not paying their employees enough. Thank you.
Damn.
Interesting. Do you have anything to say about this, Avik? Not Victor. Sorry.
I have nothing to say. Both of these candidates do have fair points that I agree with about this. Everything I agree with.
I have a question.
All right then. Anyone else from the audience who wants to ask a question?
I
of
do.
the candidates?
I want to say a
I
question.
gotta go
Mr.
first. I'm
Moore.
waiting.
Hank!
Wait your turn, Enderman.
I'd
the
say
man.
we
I've been
take
going- I've
two
been
more
waiting the whole
questions.
time.
May I?
Yeah, Mr. Moore, I want to hear your
Fucking
question.
serious.
What are your stances on alcohol
go next.
consumption, and do you have plans to institute a tax upon its consumption or sale?
I floated this idea, but I think it would be better to be left alone. I do not personally drink. I've seen the things that drink does to people, but it's a vice that ultimately every man chooses to partake in or not to partake in. I don't think the government has any right to interfere with how people live their lives in that sort of way. And as much as I would like to get some sort of, cash benefit from this sort of, this vice, as I would call it, I think that that's something that should be left for later. In fact, I think that the government should appropriate Aknevo's old brewery and start selling alcohol to the state alcohol to the people at a discount, just to get a little bit extra money. But That's just an idea.
Anything else that
Question,
the candidates would like to say on this topic?
Yes, hold on, my alarm's going off. Sorry. On the subject of alcohol, I don't believe that the policies required to ban or even limit alcohol would be very popular. I don't personally find them too eye catching. I think something bare minimum, something at the bare minimum to for warnings as to the damage it can cause to discourage the use as much as possible. That would be good, but at the end of the day, I don't believe it's really in our hands to grip the usage of it too strongly.
Grippy.
Yes, quite.
Victor, would you like to say anything about this?
Well, I support the consumption and distribution of alcohol in the country, but I don't think a tax would be wanted or would actually benefit the country at all.
Anything else? Or should we move on to the next
Guys, it's the
question?
PAP.
Next question.
The PAP?
PAP? Where's the PAP?
The PLAP's here?
It's right here next to me.
It's the. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
It's the.
I am here to tell you that you are not him.
Hey!
Get him out of here!
Crap.
Get him out of here!
You are not him. You are not him.
Stop
Don't
beating
touch
up
the
the
clap,
old
he's
man, you
almost dead.
bastard! Get the fuck
He's
out
He's
of here!
almost dead.
Is this?
He's
is
trying
this
to
how
kill the
politics
pap.
in this nation
This is-
goes?
Just
gotta
figure.
Usually not.
Just figure.
Back inside.
I can't believe they just somebody almost
Yeah,
murdered
usually.
the Pope, the PAP.
Can't believe
That would have been an
That's the
international
insane
incident.
followers.
I'd have to
of-
leave my country for the
Nuh-uh.
first time ever.
My turn.
Go
for
deal with the
question
PAP
or
in
what?
Wome.
Don't let him answer the question.
So,
What the hell?
okay, I have to state something, guys. Why is Mikhail not calling on me? Is it because I can only think
It's
of
because you have to wait your
It's
turn,
because my
bud.
skin
Get him off
is
the
Sit down.
stage. Get him off the
Sit
stage.
down.
Get him
I
off
can
the
only think of one thing.
Hey!
Is
He loses
Mikhail-
Step
his
away.
question.
Get
Hey,
down.
hey.
down.
Step away.
Sit
Get him
down.
out of
Think of
here.
One
You know,
thing.
Jerry, I think everyone's
Avik-
getting heated just because they're not having proper entertainment. Maybe we should,
Avik
you
is
know,
the
talk
only
about
one that has been supporting.
Diddy-dee-da-doo,
I wonder
diddy-dee-da-doo.
why that is. Is Mikhail
lost the plot, I'm outta here.
racist? My skin is black.
This is ridiculous.
He's racist.
Can we get this
The
guy out of
loony
here?
followers of Avik.
That's the only thing I can ever think of.
Okay, Mr. Enderman,
that
what
is-
do you what is your question? You know, before we all have to leave because we're out of time. What is your question?
Will any of these candidates provide a easier way to transfer lira to diamonds and back and forth? Just a question.
I think lira convertibility into diamond is a general goal. It's not necessarily a partisan issue. I think it's something that we want to do in order to make the lira more legitimate. But it does require a transitionary
I
period
actually have
because
to leave
we
right
can't
now.
do that. All right, thank you, Mr.
My bad.
Enderman.
Well, to continue answering that question, I do agree that we need to have a way for lira to be converted back to diamonds. I would say next to every expand every ATM to have both buying and selling of lira.
Here.
What
I think
happens
also
to
more
lira?
ATMs. Yeah, wait.
Yeah. If we were to keep lira, at least.
Okay,
Mhm.
sure.
I have another question.
Interesting. All right. Maybe someone else from the audience first, if anyone else
Yeah.
has a question.
Yeah, I have a question for. Look, Al,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The
What?
silent cat. He's in local chat.
We love Garfield.
What is it?
Hit us with it, Garf.
Simpson?
I don't think the camera can see local chat, so someone should
Excuse me,
die.
sir. Speak Cajun.
Yeah, I'll transcribe what he says. Oh.
Never mind then.
How is Cubaism and Avicism actually different?
Well, I don't study or have enough information about other religions other than my own religion, so I'm not sure how they're different.
Well, I think you could talk to Mr. Cranberry about that. I think he's been writing a book about it. So he's like the foremost religious scholar in the nation.
Can I get my question in?
Anyone else?
Hey, hold on. Wait your turn. Wait your turn.
I feel like all these questions are very targeted at me right now.
Vic, how come you want to be Hey, I have an important question.
Did anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I did, and I think Ozzy did too.
I think Godfrey, yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Godfrey had a
You started
question.
first. You can do your second question now. Go.
Hey Vic, how come you want to be the president of this country, and yet you know nothing about the faith that most of us practice?
That's a good question.
Well, do you know much about my faith?
Well, what? I'm just a random citizen. I'm not trying to be the president.
Very interesting.
Tell us more about it.
It has been pretty hard to get to Markarth until recently, to be fair.
Well, Markarth has been a railroad has been available to citizens all around Infaru to Markarth for a while.
You didn't answer my question, Vic.
Yeah, you hit him with the whataboutism, basically.
What about?
Like, I don't need to know about Avicism. I'm the senator of Urbis, but you want to be the president, which represents all farms.
Yeah.
So, how come you do not know anything about the Faru outside of Markarth? That is kind of odd.
I know about the East Faru, which is all that I've been communicating with so far. Still in my presidential campaign around
You
Infaru.
don't know anything about the West, or the North, or the South,
I'm making
or any of
my
that.
way.
What the fuck is that?
All right.
Oh
so
my
I think
gosh,
we
what is
can-
this?
Alright, I have a question.
What is it?
Wait, pass it here.
Yeah, wait.
It's
Oh, I picked it up. Hold
I
on,
don't know if I
let
can
me look at
reference
it.
that like
Oh.
out of character.
I don't think we. I don't know what that is.
Huh.
Do you know what the
Man,
Yeah,
basis
I know
is?
what that is.
What is it?
Oh, huh. Weird. I'll show it to the audience later.
I have a question.
Yes.
Shoot.
Do you think it was hypocritical of the LibCon government to advocate for civilian policing and then vote against it with the Marshals Act?
I think I like this question be answered by
That would make sense. Yes. I don't think it's inherently hypocritical. I believe the Libcon Party seeks civilian policing more as a long-term goal. I think passing the Marshals Act would have only detracted from perhaps other sectors requiring more attention, such as the army or other works.
That act doesn't. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it would probably detract from the army, but I mean, I think it's more of the framework. And I think those positions, I mean, because it's only like 3 or 4 people who would need to be like set aside as police officers as per the terms of the act. I mean, the main point, and then they would deputize further citizens. It wouldn't have taken huge amounts of government resources. It's just bizarre to me. Like, the main argument against it that I've seen is that the military is struggling to get recruits right now. And honestly, I think that for that reason, I'm not going to try it again. And I think I am going to work towards it as a goal. But it's kind of curious to me that the Libcons who pushed this point chose to shoot down the bill rather than, say, revise it or perhaps have it set as like a framework to create the Department of Justice, which was also part of it.
They don't want to revise anything. They want to submit the bills themselves.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder whether it was politically motivated. I think that's that's on our minds as
Reform the DLA.
That would not be something I would be aware of. I'm afraid I
my
must
God.
reiterate, I don't have too much power over liberal conservative senators. They voted how they chose to.
Yes, they even changed their vote. Because if I recall correctly, they were originally 2 votes in favor. Because I was there, I was the speaker. There was 1 vote of abstention, that was the premier. Then there was a vote for, which was Frog, and then there was another vote for, that was Moan. And then the mail-in votes came in, and it was 2-2. And then all of a sudden, it turned into 1-4. So I'm sort of confused as to what the internal party process or the individual process was. Mr. Moan, maybe you can shed some light on that.
I would like to say that I have not changed my vote. My vote has been yes on this issue the whole time. And
So that's more of a question for Froga.
So, I've been consistent in my beliefs, and I'm the general secretary of the party, and I think there's no hypocrisy here. Maybe some party members have some reservations about the policy, which is their right. However, it is my policy, and I wish for it to be furthered in the future.
I'm just asking. I think Toyota. I just want Toyota to shed light because at the time of the oh my God, of the bill being voted down, Toyota was party secretary for the Liberal Conservatives.
That is correct.
Well, if I can give some insight, Toyota was not a very active party secretary. He was very keen on letting party members have their own beliefs and the such. And so this is why there might have been this much disagreement within the party at the time.
Yeah. Well, okay, I can accept that. Although it is. Yeah, whatever you say, man. I don't know. It's sort of. It's just interesting to me how that sort of can happen. I'm sure we can work something out to get something going in the future.
All right. So we have 3 minutes until the end of the hour. We could do one more audience question. Any takers? Closing statements.
Okay, closing statements. I think this has been a very good, productive debate. I think all of our candidates, except maybe one.
You might want to take a look at this.
Good points. What the fuck? Dude. Oh my God, is this the second photo of this guy I've seen today? I don't even know who this guy is. I think it's just
Sal, I believe, Mr. President.
Who the fuck is Sal? We don't have television in this world.
I
think it's just some guy.
I don't know.
Just a hunch. It's just a hunch.
What is an impractical joker?
These
that doesn't
jokes
even make
are
sense.
so impractical.
I feel like most jokes are, well,
I don't know.
there's some practical jokes out there.
Could you sit down?
Yeah, there's some practical jokes. But I think, look,
Good
the
hand.
bottom line is whether you want a government that represents you or a government run by a guy who assumes that we're just gonna take a blind eye to when people refer to him by the name of his alleged god, or a guy who doesn't show up to cabinet meetings and doesn't really run his own party when he's the party secretary. I think that's really the question that we're asking here tonight, folks. So the choice is yours.
You're lame.
Avik, any closing statements?
A vote for Victor is a vote.
Sorry.
Is a good vote. That's it.
Vote for Victor, so vote for victory.
Yeah.
Is that anything?
That's the
Don't
better
feed him
slogan that I
bars.
was thinking of.
Don't give him it.
Don't help me.
Toyota,
Yes.
closing statements?
Closing statements. I have. It has been a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. I know that the foreign people will, in their righteous judgment, will make the correct choice. I love all of you. Good night.
Thanks. I love you too, Yoda.
Thanks.
And now, it's not quite.
My bad.
The hour is about to change to the next one. It is time we end this debate.
Thank you all for coming.
Good night.
Hello, Mikhail. Vote
If anyone would like some
reform.
entertainment after all those
Hey,
politics, come to
Vote
the
Victor.
casino and come to the slots right
Mr. Moore,
over at
Mr.
Providence.
Mr. Moore.
Slot machines.
Currently, I have 200 hours on this server.
Come on over to Providence
That's
if
ours.
you'd like some.
I think
Fuck. Ace, Jeff Food, I need to run.